Hey, welcome back to another great episode of YOML, a year of magical learning. Today is book 56. Why don't you tell us what we have in store for today, Chris?
Yeah, it's book 56 is a book called Extreme Ownership: How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win by Jocko Willink or Willink. I can't, I
Willink.
don't know, Willink, whatever his name is, and Leif Babin.
Uh-huh.
The story, you can tell by the title. These are two Navy SEALs that wrote a book about lessons they learned on the battlefield, and one of their key lessons was the concept of extreme ownership, of kind of basically it's always your fault, like when something bad happens, it's your fault, and that's how it works, I'll get to the reflection here in a second, but the reflection title for this is "Be the Change You Want to See in the World," is what this book made me think about.
Okay.
And I'll dive into it here. So my screen should work now because I fixed it. So can you see it?
Yeah, it
Okay.
works. Yay.
New computer is rocking and rolling. So first off, have you read this book? I know you've heard of this book, but have you read
I've
this
heard
book?
of it. I was talking to you about it, but I think you told me not to read it.
I did actually, and I would, not that I wouldn't recommend any book to anybody like this. The reason why it kind of fits into the reflection. It's funny because yesterday we talked about radical candor, right?
Right.
This is a similar topic in extreme ownership. My mission, our mission in life is to live a balanced existence and to help others to do the same. By definition, extreme ownership is extreme, right?
Right. It has the word extreme in it. So
right.
I would guess this is not for everybody.
Right. It's taking things. Okay. So the reflection actually starts off with, I want to make it clear to everybody that follows along with this journey, that's been listening to conversations that you and I have been having. I don't hate the concept of extreme ownership or radical candor or these extreme, items out there. It does not align to my mission in life. My mission in life, like I said, is to live a balanced existence and to help other people to do the same. So therefore, I don't discount the value that these concepts bring at all. As a matter of fact, I think, being truthful and being, authentic, your authentic self is important. I think taking ownership for, your actions and for what you failed to do or didn't do is important. I think, taking ownership of that stuff is incredibly important. I also think that both of these lessons, and both of these concepts are learned in the extremes of life. In particular, this book was about war. I mean, like, these are Navy SEALs that learned these lessons while they were, in the theater of war, and with the most dire consequences. And I know all too well, and all too well, what it's like to be in an extreme situation, where you those are the times in your life when you probably learn the most, honestly. And it sucks to say it, but it's true. If you can make it back from an extreme situation, you'll probably find a really good lesson in there in some way, shape, or form to be able to apply to your life. What I don't want to apply to my life from the extremes of the world is how I had to get out of that extreme, right? Like, I don't want to live my life in that extreme. What I would like to do is to take a lesson from it and to try to apply that to live a balanced, happy, healthy life. That's why I love books. That's why you and I love books. That's why we love talking about these things. It's because we can hear lessons from guys like Jocko and Leif about stuff that they learned in the extremes of their life and in their settings they've been in, and the lessons that they can take back and bring to us that we can apply to living a little bit more of a balanced life. So that's the value that I really bring, or that I get from these kinds of conversations and topics. I don't love what they talk about. I don't love, like, I mean, well, I guess I can't say never. I probably will never be in a theater of war or something like that where any of this is applicable. And also I don't want to be in that. Like, nobody wants to be in these kind of environments, So I also don't ever want to be in a company where anything I have to do that has to be extreme in order for it to
work 80 hours a week. I mean,
right.
That's extreme. I mean, that's taking the same concept as this, right?
Right. it's like work smart, work harder, not, or work hard, play hard kind of thing. Like that's stupid. Like, I mean, it's like you should play in moderation. You should work in moderation. Like, you know, like, I mean, it's a, anyway, so long story short with the reflection overall, it's for me, what I learned from this is, to, you know, whenever I did learn a lesson from them in general, and that is to have ownership of when you do something, it's your fault. And for me, that relates to be the change you want to be in this world as it relates to values. So I think about it in this regard of how I can apply this to living a balanced life and to living a life filled with values and my own personal mission. And that's, you know, it's got to start with you. You got to know who you are. You got to know what you want to be in this world, and you got to know why you want to do what you want to do, who you're trying to do it for. And from there, like, take extreme ownership over the fact that, like, this is who you say you want to be. This is your identity. This is what's important to you. This is what you self-proclaim to the world as being the most important thing. So own that, own everything about your identity and who you say you want to be, and then make sure that you lead, you know, and be that change that you want to see in this world, and be the person that you say you want to be in this world, and to always lead with your values. So you know, a lot of similar messages in general, kind of what we talked about yesterday, but in general, just in my quest of living for a balanced life, it's great to take these lessons from the extremes, figure out how, you know, we could apply these to our mission of living a balanced life filled with values and a purpose and all that good stuff. And that's my general overview of this book. I guess nothing too groundbreaking on this one. It was kind of more of one of those meh, you know, books. Like, I mean, right. You know, I learned a lesson, but like at the same time, like, I don't think it was earth shattering necessarily for me. Yeah, love to get your thoughts in general. What are your thoughts on the concept of extreme ownership?
So for me, in terms of the book itself, like the concept of extreme ownership, I think it depends on what the narrative is. Are they telling people that, hey, I'm a Navy SEAL and I want to write a book, so all your businesses should, you know, copy, should do what we do, so you're going to have high performance teams and dominate battlefields and that. Yeah. If you say that, if that's your purpose and intent, then I hate you, because that's not right. Because to me, not everybody can be a Navy SEAL.
Right.
Okay. And the second thing is, I would bet you the Navy SEAL cannot sustain this for long term. The reason why Navy SEAL is extreme is because they don't only do the extreme in spurts. They have a mission once a year, once every 6 months. They don't do this every day in, day out. So yes, they're extreme, but they have like downtime, a lot of downtime where they have to decompress. So to me, you take this into a business setting, say, well, I only go and I only do one mission in a company. Well, who's gonna run that business? Right. So in that essence, that's wrong. You just don't have enough insight. You're not thinking enough, right? You can't say, okay, I want to be this Navy SEAL where I'm in the crucible all the time and I'm always like pushing myself beyond the limits, because this is extreme. Extreme means that you only do it once or twice just to kind of get the pendulum swinging. To me, if they talk about, okay, this is my story and I just want you to know about it, yes, kudos to you. I love it, because we need people like them to you know, like kind of stretch the boundary, and we need people like them to do the missions that no one can do. So I respect and honor the Naval SEAL, but I don't respect the people who became a Naval SEAL. They come out and tell people how to do business, and business is not the same thing as Naval SEAL. So you can't say, okay, what I do, you should do.
Yes, it's not war,
right?
I mean,
to me, you have exactly no. The thing is to say that, okay, just because I'm like, for example, we take Bill Gates, right? I like Bill Gates, right? But if Bill Gates know about computer, what the fuck does he knows about AI? So just because he has some kind of famous role, a famous leader in one area, does not make him a expert in a different area. And that's, to me, that's the disconnect that I don't see, right? To say that you're a Navy SEAL doesn't mean you're a good business person.
Right. I don't want to like it's hard for me
no, like I say, I respect you in your own right, not in a different right. If you're a Navy SEAL, I respect you. I truly thank you that you have, that there's people like you who can do the kind of work that most people can't do, which is fine, which is great. But don't take it and say, okay, I'm an ace in a Navy SEAL. That means I'm an ace in business. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I'm
so that's why I say it goes back to the narrative. What are you telling people when they read the book? If you telling people how to run a company using the Navy SEAL model, then you need your brains checked.
That's a tough one. No, I mean, it really is, because like businesses in a lot of ways are built kind of on a militaristic format, you know. I mean, a lot of like
why?
I don't know. I mean, that
no. Well, the thing is, what is business? Business is not about competing. Business is about creating value.
I agree. Yeah.
Right. So it's not, doesn't have to be competitive. You don't have to kill your neighbors. Coca-Cola and Pepsi work side by side. They're making billions of dollars. They don't kill each other. They don't compete against each other. Right. They didn't have to. So it's not the same thing. It's not a battlefield.
I totally agree.
You choose your method. Yes. But it doesn't have to be. It's not the same thing as a Navy SEAL where they have a specific mission to take over something, or to go and, you know, find some kind of whatever they do. It's hostile.
Right.
In business, yes, you can say hostile, but it's nowhere near the hostility level of a Navy SEAL. So yeah, it's not. To me, I don't see, you know, the same kind of you know, the same kind of environment. I just don't.
Right. This goes back to a very similar conversation to the lion conversation yesterday. There's so many different dynamics. There's so many different moving parts. There's so many different scenarios and things when you can apply this and not apply this, and lessons from here and how they translate over to here. Like, it always goes back to for our mission and, you know, for what we talk about is the self, is like, what are you in control of really at the end of the day? And that's what you care about the most, and how you live your life every single day. And I don't mind taking that idea of radical candor and saying, look, I'm going to be radically candid with myself, like, you know, and how I live my life with value, with my values. I'm going to have extreme ownership with myself of how I hold myself accountable to my values.
Right.
I can't take that concept into any other arena and expect anybody else to understand what I understand about all these other dynamics, and then to make that make sense for other people. It's just not the same environment. I can't pretend to live my life like I lived in the NICU every single day, and how I lived my life there. That's not how
you can't be living in a NICU,
right?
Like indefinitely. You just can't, because you're going to break down. It's just extremely on extremity. Right. It's just not sustainable.
Not balance. Yeah. I mean, balance is sustainable. Like, war is not. Living in a NICU.
That's why Navy SEAL don't go on missions after missions after missions. They just don't. Right. Because what happened if they do that?
They get PTSD. They get worn out. They get their minds fall apart. You know, I mean, I get the concept. Like I said, like 100% agree with what they're saying, and I think how we could reapply this to our life, and our mission of living balance would be around having extreme ownership for yourself and staying true to who you say you want to be.
Right. I mean, like, it has places where it applies, because if you teaching future Navy SEALs, then yes, take them to this quality of extreme ownership.
Right. Because they need it.
Not take it, don't take it and say, business leaders, you should do this. Right. To me, it's like, well, I don't see where this relates, right? If you're telling me this is my story, and I'm training the future Navy SEALs, yes, I love that concept, because there's only so many people, very, very few people can do this, and that's great, right?
Right.
But that's what makes you special,
right?
You know, this Navy SEAL is the special force of the Navy, right? They are that, and so in the isolations of a Navy SEAL, right? If you want to become a Navy SEAL, then yes, you need to embrace these concepts and attitudes, because this is what needed to perform at that level, because you need to be extremely high performance at that spurt of moment where you're on that mission.
Right. I mean, it's team dynamics.
These people are like the best of the best. I mean, they are the top 0.01% of the population of the world, right?
Right.
And so you can't expect the top population of the world to take this to the mainstream. Think about it. That's just illogical.
I don't disagree at all. This is why I said I struggle with this book, and this is why I struggle with a lot of these books that have titles like extreme, radical. You know what I mean? Like, because there is a message there, and I think it's a good message. It's just,
but in the right context, is a good message.
Right.
In the wrong context, is a terrible message.
Agreed.
Because imagine if a business is trying to do that, what will happen to the business?
I mean, it could.
No one's gonna want to work for you.
Short-term productivity boost out of it. Like, right? I mean, I could see how this could have an impact. Like, if you wanted to run your business like a Navy SEAL team, I could see how you could become successful at it, but I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's
not sustainable. That's what I'm saying. It's, you're talking about, okay, in the business, you don't do one mission and then you decompress for 6 months.
Right.
Right.
Well, I don't know that that's their life either. I mean, maybe they do other stuff, but either way, I don't think being a Navy SEAL is sustainable.
They are training all the time. All the time. And that's what makes them really, 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 really good. Like I told you, I respect these guys, the Navy SEALs in general. I respect these guys who serve our country, and because of their special forces, they even more special. Right. Kudos and hats off to all these Navy SEALs and service members. The problem I have is, don't narrate this into something else that doesn't apply. And to me, I feel like I've been misled by the people who say I'm a Navy SEAL, therefore you should listen to me in business. To me, that makes no sense. And that's what I'm calling out. I'm just saying, hey, these guys are, I guess, pointing the arrow in the wrong direction.
It's a good lesson, needs to be applied in the right way. In the right application, the right settings, the right understanding.
You take them and you put them into the training of Navy SEALs or at West Point, right? That these are great concepts and traits to have and to learn, and you need them to perform the job. If not, you can't be Navy SEALs, right?
I mean,
it's not easy to be Navy SEAls.
SEAls have done an amazing job of figuring out group and team dynamics in order how to get one group of individuals.
But also, that Navy SEAls, they don't have an army.
You know what this goes back to?
They have like
because you can't
8 people.
Yeah. Right.
That's the team, and they're really good at what they do.
Right.
They're really good at what they do. They are extremely good. They know each other very well. They know each other like they know themselves. Right. They know. That's the thing is, in business, you don't have 6 to 8 people to do a particularly special job, and so that doesn't apply. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know what this reminds me of is the whole 90% chimp, 10% bee. Like, this is a concept you would want to be 100% bee on, right? You know what I mean? We're not 100% bees. Like, Navy SEALs can operate like that in certain scenarios when it's all for one for all, and they're in the heat of the combat, and you got to be a bee. You got to do what you got to do. And you got to take ownership for what you need to take ownership, and everybody's life is on the line, kind of thing. Like, that's when you go full B, right? But in our real life, we're not a full B. Like, I mean, we got to still be a 90%.
We got 90% of the chimps characteristics. So I mean, it's gonna clash when you're trying to be a B at the time.
Right. Exactly. Like, you could build a business or a culture off of being 100% B all the time, but I don't know that people are going to find fulfillment in that. Like, I think that they're going to find stress and anxiety and more of the bad stuff that we're trying to avoid for our mission, which is why I say, like, once again, like, I don't want to hate on this at all, because I think it's a good lesson. And I think, going full B every once in a while is a good thing, and really I think we should go full B with ourselves is the point,
right. And to me, there is good lessons to learn from this. It's like, if you're talking about like you doing your core values, right? Then you need to be extremely ownership of your core values. Like, that's your important. That's the first mission, first area of focus, first priority, whatever you want to call it. To me, take the extreme ownership concept into that personal sector, right?
Versus, that's sustainable.
right, because that's who you are, that's who you want to be, and that's defines you, just like what the extreme ownership defines a Navy SEAL, right? So the extreme ownership concept itself can be applied to you. Hey, I'm fanatic about health, I'm fanatic about core values, I'm fanatic about football, I'm fanatic about whatever, because that to me is extreme, but that's sustainable because that's what is driven, you're driven by that, and that's fine, right? In this case it applies. So that's why I said, you know, I agree with you with the, you know, be the change that you want to see in the world, is you want to see other people like who are like football fanatics, for example, right?
Or
Then you
care
be
about the
fanatic,
values.
just like you want to make that person, hey, you know, what does a sports fanatic do? Are they, you know, a good sportsman? Are they a good fan? Whatever, be that change you want to see and have other people. So you have to kind of take extreme ownership in that regard, and that apply in this situation. The concept of extreme ownership applies. Like I said in the beginning, it depends on the narrative of what the author is trying to dictate. If he's dictating for something like the business world, that every business should do it, and I think that's in the wrong direction. But if you're talking about something that's personal, like this is a Navy SEAL team, this is you know, a personal missions of core values team or whatever, because you are so fanatic about whatever that is driven you, you always going to do above and beyond the call of duty, in you know, kind of borrow that phrase,
Right.
so that becomes extreme ownership, and that works.
Right.
Right.
I agree. It's an interesting concept. It's something that needs to be taken with a grain of salt, in my
Right.
opinion.
I think the
If
concept is
balance is your
great.
goal.
It's just
Right.
that you need to make sure that it's in the right place.
Correct. Yeah. Applied appropriately, this is a great concept. Inappropriately, I think
It's a terrible idea.
yeah, I think it promotes the anti of what we're trying to do with our lives, and
Right,
what we're
because
trying to
if
help
you
other
put in
people
the wrong
define.
idea, it's dangerous. It's going to collapse your business. It's going to destroy whatever it is, because it is extreme. Extreme means it's dangerous.
Right. Yeah.
I mean
You
that
wouldn't.
it
They
could
wouldn't
wreak
title the
havoc.
title this way if they didn't really believe it at their core. That if like you know, you live this way on edge all the time, of everybody constantly striving to, you know, be at B with each other. Like, you know, yeah,
Mm,
I couldn't agree more. Like, so it's an interesting concept. I always love learning about these things. It always is something that you know, I'm glad that I read the book. Would you know, like I said to you, like, it's not that I wouldn't recommend it to somebody. If going to the extremes in certain areas of your life is important, then check it out. I mean, like, but for me, like,
yeah, but human nature aren't built for extremities.
agreed. We're built for
Right.
harmony. We're built to connect and be connected. All this, like that, and that's what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to,
Yes.
you know, it's like the design of everyday things, right? Human-centered design. You know, it's about who we are at our core, and how we've evolved over time to try to live a life filled with balance and meaningful work and meaningful relationships. Like, that is
Right.
our mission, and that is our goal. And I don't think you can sustain that by having a concept like this.
Right.
So we'll leave it there, unless you have any final thoughts. But answer the question for anybody listening in would be, you know, do you look within or without first when you first are seeking change in your own life? So something to consider, you know, when you're on your own values mission, I guess. Like, do you seek within to try to figure out, like, hey, am I really staying true to what I am, or what's important to me, or are you always kind of, you know, seeking out there? So something to think about and ponder about, and we can you know, see you all tomorrow, and we'll talk again.
Yeah. So before we leave, I want to ask, you know, the listeners, if you guys have any books you guys want us to read and
Yeah.
discuss about, you know, certainly let us know. We would be happy to look into it, and we can, you know, do just that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I totally would love that. A lot of these books came from recommendations from friends and people I've met along this journey, and you know, actually
And like,
this
if you have a book that
ironically,
you
you know,
want our thoughts on, well, this is a perfect time to, you know, say, hey, you know, I want to know what you guys think, and then, you know, we'll do just that. So with that, we leave you.
I got one more quick comment on this. Actually, now that you just reminded me of this book actually was recommended to me by a guy that I play tennis with. We finished up a tennis match one day, and he was like, I don't know how we ended up talking about books just because it's just part of my life these days. And he was like, oh my God, you got to read this book. It's called Extreme Ownership. You'll love it. Like, he was like, you seem like one of those guys who like really dig this kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? Whatever. I'll check it out. So that was actually how I ended up, reading this book. Funny you mentioned that. Yes. Give us your recommendations. We'll read anything. Like,
super cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that, we'll see you tomorrow.